It's time for the Jim and Terry Show.
Borrowed me a spade and I'm digging me a hole. Is it wide enough and deep enough to bury everything I know? Everything I know. La 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 la. All the hate and the greed and the innocence that bleed, all the guns and the knives that make it a hard life. Make a hard, hard life. I borrowed me a spade and I'm digging me a hole. Is it wide enough and deep enough to bury everything I know? Everything I know. Diggin, a diggin, a diggin, a diggin.
Top of the morning to you. It's the Jim and Terry Show. Well, it's the Terry minus Jim show, and will be for another few episodes. What do we have on store for you this morning, with the Jim being absent, the conversation being a monologue, not a dialogue? Well, let's start with the opening tune from Wigmore Allen Gibbons called Diggin. What are you digging? Digging yourself a proverbial grave? And what are you burying in it? Well, according to the song, Keith is burying everything he knows. Is it possible that the truth, the evidence-based facts of anything get buried through intention, through deception, through misrepresentation, through outright lying? Is that how things get buried? In which case, the digging is required by those who are doing, I'm reluctant to say their own research, but I'll start with that notion that you can discover a lot on your own. With a caveat that it requires some degree of understanding of context, not sound bites, not tailored snippets, but of a sweeping purview of a topic. Before we speak our opinions, there's so much opinion on social media, it's difficult to separate it all. What someone's saying as an opinion piece is not a journalist reporting on issues of fact. So with that understanding, we should understand that social media is largely driven by opinion. Some reporters, genuinely vetted reporters with a history of investigative journalism, may have their own presence on, say, Twitter or some other platform. They may be associated with a newspaper, old legacy media, or a cable TV news show. You have to consider the reputation of the source before you consider the trustworthiness of any source. This morning I wanted to sort of go over a few things that are newsworthy. Number one is the amount of, I'm going to say far right, right wing, bafflegab, stuff that really doesn't deserve my attention. So I don't give it a lot of attention. I will read some, not all, just to get a survey of the land and just take a look to see how far off center, half a bubble off center to use the old level metaphor, a brick short of a load to use the construction bricklayer metaphor. I'm not sure. Back in the day, I saw my father try to repair the bottom of a doorway of a cabin. And he just took the door off via the hinges, laid it on the ground, and without ruler, without level, without even a documented, provable use of a shovel with some degree of competency, knew that the door was sticking, so it wouldn't fully open. It was sloped. So rather than fixing the wall, it was just a small cabin that was leaning and creating the doorway jamb to sag and the door not to open. He decided he would just raise the bottom of the door. In typical my dad fashion of unskilled carpentry, he took his hand saw, back in the day, and began to scallop the bottom of the door. The result was, well, you could see daylight all the way through the bottom, and some places more than others. It was what you might call a carpentry disaster. The intention was good. The observation of the problem was inaccurate. The execution of the remedy was even worse. The result, well, we should have kept that door as a souvenir of I remember when, before the new home was built on that plot. Anyway, that's just a little story to go along with today's musings. I consider Pierre Poilievre, the current leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, to be a somewhat suspect, and I consider the Conservative Party to be suspect. And I've often made the connection between the GOP in the United States, I'm reluctant to use the word Republican Party, because what it is now is a shell of its former self. Not that it was anything that I would have ascribed to and voted for in the past, but if I was an American, the Republican Party was sort of the God Bless America, John McCain, raise the flag, salute the vets, and now it's become a party of nonsense. And that was a title of a track. If you go back to the previous episode or two, you might find Nonsense to Me, things that I waxed eloquent about that are nonsense to me, mostly religious truths and half-truths and claims that cannot be substantiated or held with any degree of certainty. Well, this morning I went through some of my usual people that I sort of think tell it the way it is and give me explanations for why it is that way, as opposed to the way it is the way someone else thinks. Issue number one, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, governor now elected of Arkansas, is going to be giving the GOP, the Republican, State of the Union address. State of the Union? Sarah Huckabee Sanders? I thought it was bad when Trump gave the State of the Union. This is also a demonstrable, proven liar under oath who got elected to a public office, the governor of Arkansas, post being proven to be a liar. How do we know that she is a liar? Under oath. As part of the Mueller investigation, she turned on a lot of the statements that she had uttered from the podium as the speaker when she was giving the White House press briefings, the press secretary. So what do we know? She lied about all kinds of things that she said Trump was doing or not doing, and reversed her course under oath in the Mueller investigations. Now, we know that she fabricates stuff, and she did it as press secretary for the President of the United States, the office of the President. So why would you want her to be giving your speech, to represent your party, your vision, your direction for the country? And this is symbolic of the problem of American politics. The GOP is RIP. Rest in this case, PIECE, peace. As rest in pieces, GOP, because this is an abomination. What you're doing here with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and I will stay tuned to see if it's as bad as I suspect it will be. But I've always said the rogues gallery of speakers, from the first speaker who said, "It's the largest sized crowd ever," Sean Spicer, to Sarah Huckabee Sanders, to good Christian lady Kayleigh McEnany with her gold cross, as if that was somehow an indication that she was a speaker of the truth. Also a proven, demonstrable, evidence-based liar. All right, so yeah, that's going on in the United States. how about Pierre Poilievre in Canada and what he's saying, blaming everything from inflation to guns and gun violence on Trudeau? Well, I ran out of time for this podcast, but I will get back to that next podcast on the Jim and Terry Show. The question of digging the truth, digging for the truth, or burying the truth. Bye-bye for now.